I thought I knew what trust looked like. 3 years with Amber had taught me what it meant to build a life with someone. We had plans, dreams, a future mapped out in late-night conversations and Sunday morning pancakes. That Friday afternoon, I left work early with a bouquet of yellow tulips in one hand and groceries for her favorite pasta in the other. I was going to surprise her, maybe even hint at the ring I had been thinking about buying. But when I opened our apartment door and heard her laughing in the living room, something in my chest tightened. Her voice carried that easy, relaxed tone she only used when she felt completely safe. Then I heard a man's voice respond. And that is when I heard her say his name. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button if you have ever had your trust shattered in an instant. And subscribe because this story takes a turn you will not see coming. Now let me take you back to how everything fell apart. I met Amber 3 years ago at a networking event downtown. She was standing by the bar, confident and magnetic in a way that made everyone around her seem dull by comparison. We talked for 2 hours straight that night, and by the end of it, I knew she was someone special. Those first months were everything you hope for when you meet someone new. We went hiking every weekend, cooked elaborate meals together on Wednesday nights, and laughed until our sides hurt at inside jokes nobody else understood. After a year and a half, I moved into her place. It was a small 2-bedroom apartment on the edge of town with a view of the park. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I paid 70% of the rent because I made more and she handled the utilities. We split groceries down the middle. It felt balanced. It felt right. For the longest time, I thought we had built something real. But about 2 months before that, Friday, things started to shift. Small things at first. Amber began working late more often. She would text me around 7 in the evening, saying she had to stay for a client meeting or finish up paperwork. I understood. Real estate could be demanding, and she had mentioned a big project with some high-profile buyers. I trusted her. Why would I not? She had never given me a reason to doubt anything she said. Then her phone habits changed. She started keeping it face down on the table, and when I glanced over while she was texting, she would tilt the screen away. One night, I asked her about it casually, just curious if everything was all right. She said her company had implemented new privacy policies about client information, and she had to be careful. It made sense. I let it go. She also started dressing differently for work. More effort went into her outfits, her makeup, the way she styled her hair. I thought maybe she was angling for a promotion or trying to impress a new boss. I even complimented her on it once, and she smiled and kissed my cheek. A few times I caught her giggling at her phone, and when I walked closer, she would lock the screen quickly and say it was just something funny from a coworker. Work stuff, she always said. I believed her because I wanted to. That Friday should have been perfect. I had a big client meeting scheduled for late afternoon, and I was expecting it to run until at least 6. But the client signed off on everything faster than I anticipated, and by 3 o'clock I was packing up my laptop and heading out. I decided to surprise Amber. Maybe we could have a nice dinner together, open a bottle of wine, talk about our week. I stopped at the flower shop on Maple Street and picked out a bouquet of yellow tulips. Yellow was her favorite. Then I swung by the grocery store and grabbed ingredients for pasta carbonara, the dish she always requested on special occasions. I remember feeling excited as I drove home, imagining the look on her face when she walked in and saw the table set, candles lit, everything ready. Her car was in its usual spot when I pulled into the parking lot. I was a little surprised, since she normally worked late on Fridays, but I figured maybe she had gotten off early too. Perfect timing, I thought. I grabbed the flowers and the grocery bags and walked up to the door. I unlocked it quietly, planning to slip inside and start cooking before she realized I was home. That is when I heard her laugh. It came from the living room, light and carefree. I smiled, thinking she was watching something funny, or maybe on the phone with one of her friends. But then I heard another voice. A man's voice. Low, familiar in the way voices get when two people know each other well. My stomach dropped. I set the bags down gently in the hallway and stepped closer, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I peeked around the corner just enough to see into the living room without being spotted. Amber was sitting on the couch, and next to her was a man I did not recognize. He was wearing a dark suit, his hair slicked back in that polished corporate way. They were sitting close, shoulders almost touching, and her hand was resting on his leg. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. My lungs forgot how to work. I stood frozen, gripping the edge of the wall trying to process what I was seeing. Then I heard her voice again, clearer this time. "I cannot believe he actually bought that excuse about working late," she said, laughing. There was no guilt in her tone, no hesitation, just amusement. The man laughed too. "You are a better liar than I thought, Amber." She nudged him playfully. "Kyle, it is not lying, it is just managing information." They both laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. My brain was screaming at me to move, to say something, to do anything. But I just stood there listening. "When are you going to tell him?" Kyle asked. "Tell him what? That I am leaving," Amber sighed. "God, not yet. I need to figure out the apartment situation first. He pays most of the rent, you know." She said it so casually, like I was just a bill she had to manage. Like 3 years meant nothing. Kyle leaned back into the couch. "So what is the plan?" "I do not know yet," she admitted. "Honestly, he is so boring. All he ever wants to do is stay home on weekends. You and I actually have fun together." Boring. The word hit me like a slap. I thought about all the nights I had chosen to stay in with her, because she said she was tired from work. All the times I had suggested going out, and she said she just wanted to relax at home. I had adapted my life around what I thought she wanted, and now I was boring. Kyle grinned. "Last weekend was incredible. That hotel in the mountains." "Shh," Amber cut him off, glancing toward the hallway like she was worried I might suddenly appear. "Do not remind me here." I told him I was at a training conference. The pieces started clicking into place. The training conference she went to 3 weekends ago. The new lingerie I found in her drawer that I had never seen her wear. The extra attention to her appearance. It all made sense now, and I felt like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. I looked down at the bouquet of tulips still clutched in my hand. They suddenly felt absurdly heavy, like they were made of lead instead of petals. My head was spinning. Everything I thought I knew about my life, about us, had just disintegrated in the span of 30 seconds. 3 years. 3 years of my life. I had been planning to propose to this woman. I had imagined a future with her kids, maybe a house somewhere quiet. And all this time she had been laughing about me behind my back, calling me boring, using me to pay rent, while she figured out her exit strategy with some guy named Kyle. I pulled out my phone and took a few quick pictures from where I stood. They were not great, a little blurry from my shaking hands, but they clearly showed Amber and Kyle sitting together on our couch. Evidence. I did not know what I would need it for yet, but something told me to document this moment. Then I turned around, set the flowers and groceries on the floor, where she would find them later, and walked out the door as quietly as I had come in. I closed it softly behind me like nothing had happened at all. I sat in my car for a long time staring at the steering wheel. My phone buzzed. A text from Amber. "Hey babe, what time are you getting home? Thinking about making dinner." I stared at the message, feeling sick. She had just been sitting there with another man planning her future without me, and now she was texting me like everything was normal. Like I was still the clueless boyfriend who would come home and kiss her on the forehead and ask about her day. I did not respond. Instead, I started the car and drove. I did not have a destination in mind. I just needed to move to get away to think. Eventually, I ended up at a coffee shop I used to go to in college. I sat in the parking lot and called Travis, my best friend since sophomore year. He picked up on the second ring. "Rocco, what is up, man?" "Travis, I need a place to crash tonight." There was a pause. "You okay?" "No. But I will explain when I get there." He did not ask any more questions. He just gave me his address and told me to come over. When I got to his place an hour later, I told him everything. I showed him the pictures, played back the conversation I had overheard, laid out every detail. Travis listened without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with every sentence. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and shook his head. "Man, that is messed up." "What are you going to do?" "I do not know yet," I admitted. "But I am not going back there tonight." My phone kept buzzing. More texts from Amber. "Rocco, where are you? Are you okay, baby? You are scaring me." Travis glanced at my phone. "You should answer. Act normal for now. Buy yourself some time to figure things out." He was right. I needed time. Time to think, time to plan, time to make sure I did not do anything stupid out of anger. So I sent her a message. "Got stuck at work. Going to be late. Do not wait up." Her response came immediately. "Okay, love you." I stared at those 2 words. Love you. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I turned it face down on the table and asked Travis if I could sleep on his couch. I spent the entire night staring at the ceiling of Travis's living room, going over everything in my head. By the time the sun came up, I had made a decision. I was not going to confront Amber yet. I was going to do this the smart way. I was going to get all my affairs in order first, and then I was going to walk away clean. No mess, no drama, just gone. Travis woke up around 8 and found me sitting at his kitchen table with a notebook writing out a plan. "You sleep at all?" he asked, pouring himself coffee. "Not really." He sat down across from me. "So what is the move?" I slid the notebook over so he could see. I had written out a list. Gather evidence. Separate finances. Find a new place. Confront her when I am ready. Travis nodded slowly. "This is smart. Do not give her any ammunition to turn this around on you." That morning I texted Amber and told her I was going hiking with Travis for the weekend, that I needed to clear my head. She responded with a cheerful, "Oh, okay, have fun," like she was relieved to have me out of the way. It stung, but it also confirmed what I already knew. She did not care. She had already checked out of this relationship. I just had not realized it until now. Travis helped me find a studio apartment near my office. It was small, just one room with a tiny kitchen and a bathroom. But it was available immediately, and the rent was manageable. I put down a deposit that same day. Then I started working on the finances. Monday morning, while Amber was at work, I went back to our apartment. I felt like a stranger walking through those rooms, seeing everything with new eyes. The couch where she had sat with Kyle. The bedroom where she had lied to my face, night after night. I sat down at the desk and logged into our joint bank account. What I found made my blood boil. There were charges I had not noticed before because I had trusted her to manage things. A hotel in the mountains the same weekend she said she was at a conference. Expensive dinners at restaurants we had never been to together. A charge at a jewelry store for $250. I had not received any jewelry from her recently. I took screenshots of everything, saved them to a cloud drive, and then transferred my portion of the money out of the joint account. I calculated exactly how much I had contributed over the past year and moved that amount into my personal account. I left the rest for her. Then I checked her laptop. She had left it at home, probably because she felt safe, like I would never think to look. Her email was still logged in. I did not want to invade her privacy, but at this point I needed to know the full truth. What I found was worse than I imagined. Emails between her and Kyle going back 5 months. Not 4 like she had told him. 5. Messages talking about their future together, trips they wanted to take, how much they wished they did not have to hide. One email from Kyle stood out. "I cannot wait to finally be together without sneaking around. You deserve better than what you have now." And Amber's response, "Soon. I just need to handle Rocco first. He will not see it coming." I printed out the most damning emails, saved copies to a USB drive, and shut the laptop. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. She had been planning this for months. I was not a boyfriend to her. I was an obstacle. Something to be handled and discarded when the timing was right. Over the next few days, I moved my things out in small batches. Books, clothes, my camera equipment, personal documents. I did it while she was at work, so she would not notice. Travis came over with his truck and helped me load boxes. By Thursday, the only things left in that apartment that were mine were a few pieces of furniture we had bought together and some kitchen stuff I did not care about. I contacted the landlord and explained the situation. He was understanding and let me off the lease early. Amber would have to find someone else to cover my share of the rent or move out herself. That was her problem now, not mine. Friday came, exactly 1 week after I had overheard that conversation. I was ready. I texted Amber in the afternoon. "We need to talk tonight. I will be home at 7. She responded immediately. "Is everything okay?" I kept it short. "We will talk." I could feel her panic through the screen, but I did not care anymore. I got to the apartment at 7 sharp. Amber was sitting on the couch, the same couch where I had seen her with Kyle. She looked nervous, picking at her nails, her leg bouncing. "Baby, what is going on?" she asked as I walked in. "You have been acting weird all week." I did not sit next to her. I sat in the chair across from the couch, the one I used to sit in when we watched movies together. I pulled out the folder I had prepared, the one with all the printed emails and bank statements and photos. I set it on the coffee table between us. "I know about Kyle," I said. Her face went white. All the color drained out of it in an instant. What? Who is Kyle? I do not. I held up my hand. Do not. I heard you. Last Friday. I came home early. She stopped talking. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I continued. I heard you laughing about how boring I am. How you were just managing information. How you needed to handle me before you could move on with your life. Amber's eyes filled with tears, but I could not tell if they were real or just another performance. Rocco, let me explain. Explain what I asked, my voice calm and cold. The hotel receipts, the emails where you and Kyle plan your future together, or maybe the part where you told him I would not see it coming. She tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled it away. I am sorry, she whispered. I did not mean for any of this to happen. It just happened. How long? I asked. She hesitated. 4 months. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Try 5. I read the emails, Amber. All of them. She started crying harder now, mascara running down her cheeks. Rocco, please. We can work this out. I will end things with him. I will do whatever it takes. I stood up. I am leaving. I have already moved all my stuff out. The lease is in both our names, but I talked to the landlord. You can stay here and find a roommate, or you can leave. I do not care which. Her eyes went wide. Wait, you are just leaving, just like that. We have been together for 3 years. 3 years you wasted, I said. 3 years you spent lying to me while you figured out your exit plan. I am just saving us both some time. That is not fair, she shouted, standing up now. You do not understand. I understand perfectly, I cut her off. You do not love me. You have not loved me for a long time. You just needed someone to pay the bills while you figured out what you really wanted. Well, congratulations. You figured it out. Now you can have it. I walked toward the door. She followed me, grabbing my arm. Rocco, please do not do this. We can fix this. I will go to counseling. I will do anything. I turned to look at her one last time. You know what the worst part is? It is not even the cheating. It is that you made me feel like I was not enough, like I was boring and predictable and not worth your time. You took 3 years of my life and made me feel small. I pulled my arm free. But I am not small. I am just done. I walked out the door and did not look back. I heard her calling my name, heard her footsteps behind me, but I kept walking. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove to my new apartment. It was not until I was inside, door locked behind me, that I let myself feel everything. I sat on the floor of that empty studio and cried, not because I wanted her back, but because I was mourning the person I thought she was, the relationship I thought we had, the future I thought we were building. It was all gone, and I had to grieve it before I could move on. The first week in my new place was the hardest. The apartment was small and quiet and unfamiliar. I kept reaching for my phone to text Amber about something funny I saw, or to ask what she wanted for dinner, before remembering that she was not part of my life anymore. Travis came by almost every night, bringing takeout and making sure I was not sitting alone in the dark, spiraling. Time heals, bro, he kept saying. You did the right thing. I tried to believe him. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects, staying late at the office, anything to keep my mind busy. Amber sent me a flurry of texts in the first 3 days, long paragraphs apologizing, begging for another chance, promising she would change. I did not respond to any of them. By the 4th day, the messages stopped. A week later, Travis mentioned he had seen Amber's social media. She had changed her relationship status and posted a picture with Kyle. Official now, I guess, he said carefully, watching my reaction. I felt a small twist in my stomach, but it was not heartbreak. It was just the final confirmation that I had made the right choice. Good for her, I said, and I meant it. She had wanted Kyle. Now she had him. That was no longer my problem. The 2nd month was when things started to shift. I woke up one Saturday and realized I had not thought about Amber in 2 days. It felt strange at first, like I was forgetting something important. But then I realized it was not forgetting, it was healing. I started to remember things about myself that I had buried during those 3 years. I used to love photography. I had spent hours in college exploring the city with my camera, capturing moments and light, and the way shadows fell across old buildings. But Amber had always complained that I wasted too much time on hobbies when we could be doing things together. So I had stopped. Now, living alone with no one to answer to, I bought a new camera. A good one. I started going out on weekends, finding new spots around the city, letting myself get lost in the creative process again. It felt like coming home to a part of myself I had abandoned. I joined a local photography club that met every other Thursday. The people there were passionate and talented and welcoming. One guy, Daniel, specialized in nature photography and invited me to go hiking with him the following Saturday. I almost said no out of habit, but then I remembered I did not have to check with anyone anymore. I did not have to explain where I was going or why, so I said yes. We hiked a trail I had never been on before, up into the hills where you could see the whole valley spread out below. Daniel taught me about composition and lighting, and we spent hours just walking and talking and taking pictures. On the drive home, I felt lighter than I had in months. I realized that I had been so focused on making Amber happy that I had forgotten what made me happy. Hiking, photography, quiet mornings with coffee and a good book, conversations about things that mattered to me. I was not boring. I just needed to be around people who appreciated what I loved. By the third month, I stopped checking Amber's social media. I stopped wondering what she was doing, or if she ever thought about me. I started thinking about my own future instead. I signed up for an advanced photography course and began working on a portfolio. My instructor mentioned that a small gallery downtown was looking for new artists to feature in their upcoming community showcase. I submitted my work on a whim, not expecting anything. 2 weeks later, they accepted me. I was going to have my first exhibition. Travis was more excited than I was. "Man, this is huge," he said when I told him. "You are really doing it." And I was. I was building a life that was entirely my own. No compromises, no apologies. Just me figuring out who I was without someone else defining it for me. I learned a lot in those months. I learned that loyalty is not something you owe to people who do not respect you. I learned that walking away is not the same as giving up. Sometimes it is the strongest thing you can do. I learned that being alone is not the same as being lonely. I had been lonelier in that relationship, pretending everything was fine, than I ever was in my studio apartment, surrounded by my cameras and my books and my own thoughts. And most importantly, I learned that I did not need someone else to validate my worth. I was enough all on my own. Amber had tried to make me feel small, but in the end, all she did was teach me how strong I actually was. I did not hate her anymore. Somewhere along the way, the anger had faded into something softer. Not forgiveness exactly, but acceptance. She had made her choices, and I had made mine. We were not meant to be together, and that was okay. I was grateful in a strange way that I had found out when I did. Before I had proposed, before we had gotten married or bought a house, or built a life so intertwined that leaving would have been impossible, I had gotten out just in time, and now I was free to build something better. 6 months after I walked out of that apartment, I stood in a small art gallery downtown surrounded by 20 of my best photographs hanging on white walls. Travis was there along with some of my new friends from the photography club. The turnout was better than I expected. People were actually interested in my work, asking questions about my process, complimenting my eye for detail. I felt proud. Not because strangers liked my art, but because I had done this for myself, because I had taken something broken and turned it into something beautiful. As I stood there talking to a couple about the story behind one of my mountain sunrise shots, I noticed a woman across the room. She was standing in front of my favorite piece, a photograph of a forest trail at dawn with light filtering through the trees. She was smiling, really looking at it, taking her time. When she noticed me watching, she walked over. "Did you take this?" she asked, gesturing to the photograph behind her. "Yeah," I said. "That was from a hike I did a few months ago. Early morning, had to get up at 4 to catch the light." Her eyes lit up. "I love hiking. There is something about being out there when the world is still quiet, you know." We talked for 20 minutes about photography and hiking and our favorite trails. Her name was Sophie, and she worked as a graphic designer. She was funny and easy to talk to, and I found myself genuinely enjoying the conversation without overthinking it. When she had to leave, she handed me a business card. "Let's grab coffee sometime and talk more about photography. I would love to see the rest of your work." I took the card, smiled, and said I would reach out. After she left, I looked down at the card in my hand. I was not in a rush. I was not looking for anything. But I was open to new connections, new experiences, new possibilities. I had spent 6 months learning how to be happy on my own. And now, standing in that gallery surrounded by proof of my growth, I realized that I was ready to let someone new in. Ready to trust again, but smarter this time. Ready to build something real with someone who saw my value, instead of diminishing it. Life keeps moving forward whether you are ready or not. The question is whether you are going to move with it or stay stuck in the past. I chose to move forward, and every step I took away from that old life brought me closer to the person I was always meant to be. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you thought you would spend your life with? Have you ever discovered that the person you loved was not who you thought they were? Drop a comment below and share your story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss future stories. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who is struggling to walk away from a situation that is hurting them, share this video with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we are stronger than we think. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that endings can be beginnings, and sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is choose your own peace over someone else's convenience. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember you are never boring for knowing what you deserve.